What time does the Warriors Invitational start? When are we doing this tonight? What time is it?
Boy, I'd have to Google it.
5:30? What do we got? 5:30 tonight? Warriors Invitational? Let's go!
I think
Here we go!
The Warriors are playing the Heat, but it's in Denver for some reason.
That's weird.
It's super
That's
weird.
Well, maybe they wanted to make it harder on the guys to breathe or something like that.
So high.
Yeah, they are. They're going to be so high. So here we go, everybody. Warriors Invitational starts tonight at 5:30. And for some reason, we're not carrying it here on 95.7 The Game.
Yeah.
That's weird. I thought we were the home of the Warriors Invitational.
Yeah, we are,
Well,
and we should be, and we normally do this in June, and my calendar says it's June.
Today.
Yet, for some reason, we have no president of basketball ops. Our head coach is probably waist deep in San Diego ocean water. Our power forward is podcasting. Our point guard is fathering, and our shooting guard is Lord knows where on the water in a boat near you.
I think your head coach is actually counting money on Monty's new contract in Detroit.
Man, hello.
That could affect him.
Yep.
Although maybe not in ways that you think. So we'll get into that. Hi, everybody. It's Willard and Dibs. Glad you're with us. Comcast Business Text Line, Twitch, YouTube. Good afternoon. Thank you for being with us. 888-957-9570 is the number. Yes, NBA Finals. I'm bummed that Stein and Goo had a meeting. I was really looking forward to chopping up what today kind of feels like because the Warriors aren't in this thing. And the two teams that are have such differing feels to them. Like we do this, you get to the finals, and you're like, okay, who do we need to copy? And I don't know if this is one of those years. Even though Denver has quietly been the one seed all along and quietly been dominant in this postseason, is this or is this not a team where you have to say, hey, the West now runs through Denver? When you look at the NBA Finals that start tonight, what are these teams that the Warriors aren't? That's the question we need to answer right now.
I think it's two different answers because the Miami Heat are a collection outside of their two big stars. They're a collection of who and where did they get him? Mm-hmm. And they are little bits and pieces. And Spoelstra and Pat Riley and the whole front office has done such a great job of cobbling together a roster out of basically nothing. You know, some draft picks, some late draft picks, some undrafted free agents, and a couple of stars. And Denver is kind of like the Golden State Warriors in that they drafted their core three, and they have maybe the best second-round pick in the history of the association. Apologies to Draymond Green. Nikola Jokic was a second-round pick,
It's unbelievable. People. It's unbelievable. How's that even possible?
I don't know.
His size alone should have made him a top 25 pick.
Right.
Don't you think?
But he would have been.
Did he just grow a couple years ago or something like that?
I think he was 6'5" when he got drafted. And now he's, 7 foot.
Used to be if you were 7 foot, you're like, are we taking him first or are we taking him second? How did he get all the way to the second round? And I don't remember all the, whatever the details were at the time.
It was a good draft.
Yeah.
You know who went number one overall?
What year was it again?
It was 2014.
24. Who went number one overall in 2014?
I'll give you a clue.
I'm terrible at this. You know that I'm terrible at this.
He's a Golden State Warrior, and he missed 2 months this year.
Oh.
Was that clue too easy?
Anthony Lamb. Right?
Ty Jerome.
Damn it. He did miss a lot of those. He's on the two-way.
Wiggins went 1, and Embiid went 3. It was a good draft. But the Joker, if you want to redraft the 2014 draft, he either goes number 1 or number 2.
Yeah.
Because Embiid was in that draft too.
Boy, I mean, you throw out an Andrew Wiggins trade, duck, but would you trade Wiggins for Jokic?
I think you might.
Thank you. All right, we finally found the Wiggins trade.
There it is.
That everybody is going to accept. There it is.
Well, you'd have to throw in Poole because the salaries don't match.
The salaries don't match?
No.
There's Wiggins over
there.
there.
The Joker jumps to 46.9 next year.
Okay.
In the last year of his deal, which is a player option in 27-28, 61.9.
Worth every penny.
Yeah,
worth
the
every
Joker.
penny. So 46 this year?
Next year. Only 33 this year.
Okay, so, but next year is what would matter in a potential trade.
Correct.
So Wiggins and Poole, actually, Denver might need to throw in a couple of bucks in order to make that deal. So, yes, we can throw in Poole, and
sure.
I'd still do the deal, Dibs. I'll take it. Jokic with the big three, I'm in. But I'll say this, when we talk about the two teams who are playing in the NBA Finals tonight and what the Warriors need to be to get back to that situation, I will say this, and I think I feel this way more than most. I still sit here today, and I'll say I don't think the Warriors are as far off as a lot of people think they are. I know what right now feels like. It feels like a ship that's lost at sea. That's part of what Bob Myers' departure did to this fan base and this organization, I feel like. When you lose a key piece, as I called him the other day, the glue, when you lose that, it's going to feel a little wayward for a little while. I understand that. But the core and how broken down they are, how old they are, decrepit, contractually, preventative, whatever words you want to use to talk about these guys, I still sit here in this chair that this thing does not have to be over yet. I don't think it's a total overhaul. I don't think those three are done. I think that when you look at the way the NBA, especially the Western Conference, sits right now, there's a lot of ways this story could have unfolded. These players who have Denver in the finals, they were on the Nuggets last year. They's just hurt. That's all it is. So I'm not saying if you're the Warriors, just come back next year and hope for injury, but look at Memphis. Look at the Lakers. Look at the way different things happen on the journey through any season. I think if the Warriors, first of all, get a screwdriver out and fix their mentals.
Sure.
Okay?
Sure.
Whatever it takes to do that. If it means Jordan playing for a different team, it does.
I think the offseason will fix a lot of that, and maybe having an additional 6 weeks off will help that.
Yes.
And the motivation of knowing that you're not the hunted, you're the hunter again, gives you that edge, maybe.
Take care of your mentals.
Yep.
And then, as Joe Lacob put it the other day, we don't care what the rules are, we're going to win. Okay, so whatever these moves are that you need to make, go ahead and make them. And I still think the Warriors are on the board next year in terms of possibles.
They're in the mix.
NBA possibles.
Right, Western Conference possibles. If you project into next year, you could say that they're one of 4 or 5 teams, I think, that would be in that mix for knocking off Denver. I don't know about Phoenix based on, how they're going to age and what they're going to return.
Doesn't feel
Memphis
good.
is a big question mark.
Yep.
If Ja was not a gun-toting, zygote, a child, I would love their chances because they have everyone coming back. But the Ja question...
not everyone.
Well, everyone need. Dylan Brooks is not
Dylan
coming
Brooks.
back. But everyone else is coming
Are
back.
we all going to like Memphis when they come back next year?
Maybe. I mean, if Ja's still there, it's going to be tougher.
Well, I get, but is it just Dylan? Is it just Dylan that we hated, or do you actually hate the Grizzlies?
I think it's Dylan, and it's a little bit of Ja.
Sprinkle a Ja, but it wasn't before this year.
And also the head coach, Taylor Jenkins.
Yeah,
he was not very likable.
He's just an enabler. He doesn't bother me. He's just a little guy over there with a beard.
Yeah.
No problem.
What do you have against bald guys with beards?
That's what I'm saying. Nothing. Just over
Thank
there,
you.
right? Doing their thing. It's all good.
But I don't think
I like
they're-
Jaren Jackson. I think he's a phenomenal player. I know he ticked Clay off last year, but I like him as a
Great player, DPOY.
Yeah, there's some things. I mean, they're little old Memphis, Tennessee. It's so funny that they've become the big evil, because they don't win.
Right.
and they're from the middle of nowhere, comparatively.
Small market, yeah.
Right. In the NBA, normally that matters. They're in what you would call their small market window. You have to do it fast. You have to do it through the draft. And then you got to hang on for dear life. And they're missing their window. So they're not much of a threat right now. Dylan Brooks is gone. I don't know. I could see that rivalry softening in the next couple of years.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I think the rivalry that's going to rise, and everybody wants to put this team in as your boutique pick, New Orleans. If Zion can stay healthy, boy, that team is nasty with that roster.
Talented.
Super talented.
They're talented.
But they haven't been able to get over that hump. OKC is a team on the rise, and they get Chet Holmgren next year, theoretically. Even though big guys with foot injuries, it usually doesn't play well for a long-term viability. But if OKC continues to grow up, they're a team. The adorable Sacramento Kings, the beam was lit.
Don't forget about them.
Don't forget about the Kings.
No,
the Lakers are a big question mark, as are the Clippers.
Wow.
But I would put the Warriors in the mix at the very least.
Yeah, in the mix, sure. And the Kings have space and young talent, and they got to dip their toe into the waters of what the postseason is like. They got to experience a Game 7, all of that. Sure, they're viable. They're a piece of this puzzle next year for sure. But I think, especially as the NBA Finals start tonight, that's kind of my message. I really think the downfall of the Warriors, to a degree, is being overstated. I know why it feels the way it feels. Bob's gone, and Clay seemingly is never going to hit a shot again.
And the core is getting older.
They're getting older, but as I've sort of argued all year, I think the evidence of decline is more in our mind than it is on the court. I hear a lot of people go, they're declining. And I go, well, what's your evidence? Well, they've had a birthday. Great. Steph played better than he did the year before. Draymond played the exact same, and Clay, despite the up and down nature, you cannot argue that he wasn't better this year than he was the year before. And that all happened and they won a championship.
Yeah.
So,
but he didn't really play the year before.
Well, right. That's kind of the point, I guess, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
he was worse and then better and then worse than the year before.
Yeah, well,
all at once.
I don't know. Can you be worse on the court versus when you weren't on the court at all?
Yeah, if you're a net negative,
I guess.
I mean,
but how
the first
often
couple
was that
months
the
of the
case?
year, the first couple months of the year, he might have been better last year than he was this year.
Maybe it was a little
and
messy.
it's a little mean-spirited of me to say that.
And the Lakers series was messy. There's no two ways around that. But I don't think that he was in some way a detractor to the basketball team. The days of the presence of the three of them being enough. You'll hear this a lot. Here's what I want to throw in on this. The days of the big three being enough on their own are over. Here's what I want to say. They never existed in the first place.
Those days?
How about that? They were never enough. The same way Nikola Jokic is not enough. What happened last year when Porter and Murray were hurt? Poof.
They got knocked out.
First round out. Get out of here. You have to have a really good team. And last year the Warriors did. And this year, everybody has lined up their reasons for 8 months. For whatever reason, they weren't as good of a team. But I absolutely believe you can still sprinkle in around them whatever magic trick they want to pull or whatever check they want to write. However they want to do that this offseason, sprinkling around those three, and they are in this mix. Absolutely. I mean, it's funny that we think, the presence of the big three alone. I mean, prior to last year, 2 of your 3 championships, you also needed Kevin Durant.
And the other one, you needed Andre Iguodala, who was the MVP of the NBA Finals. And that was peak Iguodala, not the Iguodala that we know, vet min, who is known to be in street clothes the majority of the time. So your point is well taken. The big three was never good enough. When you won the first chip, you had Andre Iguodala as the MVP. And then you won a couple with Kevin Durant. And then last year would be the argument you could make that the big three was enough, but then Andrew Wiggins went nuclear and played the best basketball of his life in the finals.
This is a fascinating thing you just brought up. 4 championships.
Yep.
In any one of the 4 were the big three, the top 3.
And were the big three enough?
I guess the answer would be no.
No.
Was Iguodala the final? I didn't think he should have been, but he was.
I actually thought he should have been.
And whether you
he
do...
suffocated LeBron James.
Held him to 35 a game. But anyway...
Something like that. I'll Google it. I don't think it was that bad, but...
Something. Anyway, point being is, whether he was the Finals MVP or not, he was one of the top 3 players.
Correct.
Was Kevin Durant one of the top 3 players? Yeah. Was Kevin Durant one of the top 3 Warriors when he was here?
Who are you?
Yeah. And then last year, was Andrew Wiggins one of the top 3 players?
He sure was.
Okay, so the big 3 was never actually the big 3. They're the core. They're the homegrown.
Yep.
They're what we love. We talk about homegrown on this show all the time.
Yeah, we do,
I
bro.
don't think you can be an interesting team without it. I thought the Lakers were soulless this year. They beat the Warriors, so you get credit for that. I thought they were soulless.
Yeah.
And I used to work at the flagship station, so I know what that fan base is like, and they'll never convince me that they cared about this team the way they cared about a Shaq or a Kobe or a Magic era.
And that's where I make the Nugget comp, and I was talking to our producer Lucas earlier today about that because Jokic was drafted in 2014 in the second round. Draymond, second rounder. Then you skip ahead to 2016. With the 7th pick, the Nuggets select Jamal Murray from Kentucky. Good little player.
He's done nicely.
And then in 2018, with the 14th pick out of Missouri, Michael Porter. So you talk about the Nuggets' big 3. drafted with a second-round nuggy-nug, and you surround them with all of the other talent, Aaron Gordon, who wasn't drafted there, and the other ancillary pieces, and it feels to me much more like a Warriors comp than any other team.
Well, and as we say big three, we probably, at this point, we should call it a big four because Andrew Wiggins is a huge part of what they're doing going forward. If you want to call it a big five and add Looney in, do that as well. Like, I think it's funny that we sit here and go, gosh, yeah, they don't have enough. They don't. They have those five. It was the best five in terms of metrics in the entire NBA. You're telling me you can't sprinkle in around them and still be relevant? So the NBA Finals start tonight. How close or far are the Warriors from getting back to tonight?